As each year winds to a close, something I always try to do is to set aside time to spend in reflection, celebrating the victories from the past year, learning from the mistakes, and then also looking ahead and setting goals for myself for the upcoming year. I like to do this really across the board, but one area where I find it particularly helpful to do so is in my spending. I'll look at any areas where I might be wasting money or accumulating excess and try to set no-buy goals for myself to target those areas. At this point, it is an annual challenge. I think I've been doing this for close to 5 years now. I really do find it just such a helpful way to kind of keep me accountable to sticking to my goals, to saving money, and to not gathering up and collecting a ton of stuff that I don't really need. So over the past few days, I've spent some time reviewing my spending, my purchasing habits, and creating my no-buy list for 2026. So that's what I want to share with you today. Here are 10 things I won't be buying in 2026. And of course, stay tuned for the end because I also want to recap how my no-buy list for 2025 went. There were some major victories, some lesson learned. I want to go into all of that with you as well. Let's start off with a big one, and that's home decor, or more specifically, really trendy home decor that's really only going to last for a season or two. Recently, I've been reflecting on the fact that I feel like people used to have a home decor style that they went for, and they would stick with it. Whether that was mid-century, traditional, boho, industrial. I mean, there are so many different styles of interior design, but I feel like people used to have a style and then stick with it. But in recent years, I feel like interior design has become a very trend-focused, with pretty much everyone hopping on board fully one specific interior design style and then hopping on board to another 2 years later and another 2 years after that. Like, do you remember when pampas grass was literally everywhere? Same thing with burlap, galvanized metal, letterboards. For a little while there, chevron was everywhere. I feel like largely thanks to social media, those trends come and go faster than ever. The thing is, the bows everywhere in Christmas decor, the scalloped edges, even the gingham and plaid that I currently love, those things won't be trendy in a few years. And so a question I've really been trying to challenge myself with lately, especially when it comes to home decor, is am I trying to buy something because it's trendy or because it's authentically true to my personal style, what I love? If it is true to my style, I don't have a problem with buying it. But I really want to make a focus this year, kind of discovering, or in a way rediscovering, what my personal home decor style is and not letting whatever's trending online influence that as much. Now, of course, I think some things that are currently trending I am always going to love. I liked gingham way before it was popular, but other things like the bows everywhere in Christmas decor, I really don't know that I'm going to love that long term. Maybe in small doses, but you know, like the giant bows that you see, I don't see myself liking that in a few years. So I really want to intentionally try to make sure that I'm not spending money on things like that I know would just be a fad for me. Now, I will say I do expect this one to be a challenge because I feel like we are often subconsciously influenced by the things that we see online, but I really want to commit to rediscovering my personal style this year because I feel like if I can figure that out, especially when it comes to home decor, that's just going to really result in me being able to create and to design a home that I love long term. Well, I've got one in hand right now, but something else that I would love to refrain from buying in the upcoming year is tea. This is actually one that I'm rolling over from last year, and it isn't because I've stopped liking tea. I still love it. The problem is, over the years, I've maybe loved it a bit too much. I've accumulated a massive hoard of probably over 30 different types of tea, and so I just really need to continue the spending freeze that I started last year. Around this time last year, I set a goal for myself of not buying any new tea until I'd fully drunk through my current tea supply. And even though I've made a dent in my tea collection, I still haven't worked through my entire tea stash, so we're going to roll that one over. So here's to continuing to drink through my tea collection in 2026. This year, I don't want to add anything new to my wardrobe without first letting go of something. I've shared this in a few different videos, but in the past year, I decided to bring in a few new items to my wardrobe. For years, my closet consisted of about 100 or so items of clothing, but over the past year, I decided that I just wanted to be able to incorporate a bit more variety and just fun in my wardrobe, and so I brought a few more pieces in and have really enjoyed being able to switch it up and feeling like I had more options. So I've been happy with that decision, but I do think now that my wardrobe is at a really good place size-wise. I feel like if it were to grow beyond the size that it currently is, I would just get a little bit overwhelmed with all of the options that I could wear and experience some decision paralysis. While it's fun to have options, having too many can sometimes be a little bit stressful for me. So this year, I want to set up a one in, one out rule for myself when it comes to my wardrobe. So if I want to go out and buy any new items to add to my closet, I want to give myself permission to do that. Not going crazy, but if I do want to switch it up, bringing in a few items here or there. But if I do, I want to make sure that I'm also letting go of something so that my overall closet isn't expanding. I can kind of maintain a similar number of items as what I have in there right now. So one in, one out, I think that will help maintain a good balance in my closet. I have a confession to make. Since becoming a real life parent, I have not been the best plant parent. And realistically, even though I have significantly pared down my plant collection over the years, many of the ones that I still have are really suffering. I don't know what it is. Well, I know what it is. It's having a child, but I've really been struggling just to remember to water and to take care of them the way that I used to. And so this year, I'd say too, specifically with indoor plants, I want to make sure that I'm not bringing in any new ones, and potentially it might be time to let go of a few of the ones that I currently have that are a little bit more needy and hard for me to remember to care for. I mean, some of them, like I have a snake plant, a pothos, those are doing fine, but I do have a few that require a bit more TLC that I feel like I just don't have the time for anymore. I think it's time to pass them on. Oh, okay, this is a big one. In 2026, I don't want to buy any new water bottles, tumblers, mugs, things to store drinks in. I feel like with water bottles especially, I've been really tempted lately. I keep seeing people with the Awala water bottles that are so cute. I love the idea of a water bottle that also has a straw. I actually almost bought one the other day, but when I was in the store, I was thinking about it and I just kind of realized the fact that I don't really need a new water bottle. I already have one tumbler, one water bottle. They both still work fine, so I really don't need more. Was it a couple of years ago, people would have like the Stanleys in every single color? I feel like you see the same thing now with other water bottles too, but the truth is you really only need one. That's something that I needed to remind myself of lately. Maybe you need to hear it too. And kind of related when it comes to mugs, over the years, I've really intentionally kind of curated a mug collection of mugs that we use all the time. But I really love the mugs that I have. I definitely don't need more. And so this year, whether it's mugs or water bottles or tumblers, I really just want to practice contentment in this area, loving, enjoying, and using the ones I have. So last year I set a goal for myself of using up all of the candles in my candle collection, and I have to say I actually did an amazing job of this one. I literally have half of one candle left, that's it. However, over the course of the year, I think I've acquired something like 10 or 11 different, like the long tapered candles. And the thing is, I don't burn them that often. So I guess tapered candles are my new goal for this year. I want to make a point to actually use them, not to buy any new ones until my current collection is completely run through. And given that the only time I really burn them is at dinner parties, it might mean we need to host some dinner parties this year. Baby and toddler books are a new addition to my no-buy list this year because I realized something. We read a lot of books with our one-year-old, and the thing about reading books that are meant for babies and toddlers is that you go through them quickly. It's not uncommon for us to read 10 or even more books with our child as we're getting him ready for bed at night. And of course, we read even more than that during the day. So if you want to keep books feeling fresh and not like you've read the same book 100,000 times, it can really add up and cause a lot of clutter just constantly adding books to your collection. But this year, I found a solution to that, one that's completely free and doesn't cause clutter. Lately, we've been rediscovering our local library and just checking out 5 to 10 books at a time that we can read through and enjoy for a few weeks and then return and to pick out some new ones so we can cycle things in and out to fit with the changing seasons, his changing interests, or even just to keep things feeling fresh and new. So we've really enjoyed using the library as a tool soul, and I want to use that this year, especially when it comes to toddler and baby books. But I think even when we discover a favorite, because through all of our library trips, there have been a few that I've wanted to borrow again and again and again. For books like that, I feel like it does make sense to add to our permanent collection. But even for those books, I really wanted to challenge myself to try to find them used if I can. There are a lot of great resources for finding good books used, whether that's Marketplace, local moms groups, or even the thrift store. So this year, I really want to make either borrowing or buying secondhand my default for bringing new toddler books into our home. Something else that I'd like to avoid purchasing this year is seasonal or very occasion-specific clothing. You know, the kind of things that you buy and only really plan to wear one or maybe 2 times. When it comes to the clothing that I purchase, something that I always try to keep in mind is what is the cost per wear of this item? The idea behind it is the more often you wear an item, the lower the cost for it drops. So you might spend $200 to wear on a really fancy dress to wear to a wedding, but you could also spend the same $200 on a really beautiful high quality sweater that's going to last you for years, and you might wear that 20, 30, or even 40 or 50 times. If you do, the cost per wear of that item drops to only a few dollars per wear. And that's really something I try to keep in mind when buying clothing is the price of this going to be worth it for me? And the thing is, I feel like especially when it comes to very event specific clothing or holiday specific clothing, more often than not, it's just not worth it. Because we just don't have that many opportunities to wear the kind of dress you'd wear to a black tie wedding. It's not Christmas or Valentine's Day all year round. So something that I did a few years ago that I paused when I had Oliver, but that I really want to get back to is renting clothing, especially when I have parties or weddings or different events coming up that I might otherwise have bought a one-off clothing piece for. I want to get back to renting those items as a more affordable way to get the clothing items that I need to wear to those events, and also just to switch up my closet too. It's a great way to be able to do that, to bring new items into your wardrobe without causing long-term clutter either. I've started doing Rent the Runway, and basically you just get to pick out a few items to rent for the month. You can wear the items for the month, and then afterwards pack them up, send them back, and then pick out new items for the upcoming month. I found it to be really helpful. Maybe you will too. If you do want to try it out, I do have a Rent the Runway. I think it's an affiliate code, so I'll put all the details to that on the screen here in the description box. Check that out if you want to try that out. But like I said, I did this a few years ago and really loved it. As we're coming into the holiday season, I've got a few weddings already on the docket for next year. I know that it will be tempting for me to want to buy special occasion clothing for those, so I'm trying to plan ahead, and I want to rent instead of buy those special occasion outfits. That way I'm not going to have any crazy high price per wears in my closet, but of course still have fun, fresh things to be able to wear to those events. And one sneaky one that I really want to be aware of this year is I'm trying to avoid any add-on purchases. I feel like I used to be really good at, when I go grocery shopping, only buying groceries and not being tempted by the kombuchas, the sodas, or other beverages that they always have on display right by the checkout. Or when I'd go to a coffee shop, only ordering a coffee and not being tempted by the pastries that they always seem to have on display right by the cashier. Lately, I've been finding myself almost defaulting to adding on some of those little extra items that really add up over time. I mean, at coffee shops, that's sometimes close to doubling the amount that I'm paying when I'm going out for coffee. For grocery shopping, that adds a few extra dollars every time I go out to get groceries. And so this upcoming year, I really just want to be a lot more mindful of them. Not to buy little add-ons to my purchases without thinking about them, but instead, when I go to a store, to go in what I came for and not to walk out with any impulse buys. I feel like that's one kind of sneaky area in my budget that if I can master this year is really going to make a difference. Then one area that I want to try not to buy anything, really just to avoid accumulating excess in this year, is to not buy any new hobby supplies. I feel like this is one of those ones where I'm still kind of adjusting to my new reality as a mom. I'm proud of myself that I still make time for my hobbies. That's something that I really wanted to do, that I've committed to, and I'm proud that I've done it, but it is still a reality that even though I still do them, I have a lot less time for my hobbies than I used to. And so I'm just not going through things as quickly as I once did. So this year, I really want to try to focus on not buying new hobby supplies supplies and instead using up what I already have. I feel like this is one, like with my tea collection, where I have a bit of a stash built up. I want to work my way through it. Now, the exception I'm going to make to this is if I'm working on a project and just run out of the supplies that I need. I don't have any left in my stash. I'm going to give myself permission to be able to buy whatever I need to finish the project, but especially for starting new projects, I'd rather start projects using the things that I already have rather than just buying entirely new items. So that's everything that I want to commit not to buying in 2026. But now let's rewind. I want to take a look back at how I did this past year in 2025. So looking back in 2025, the things that I said I did not want to buy were books, fun drinks to have at home, new home decor, hosting supplies, new kids clothing, candles, tea, plants, structured clothing or anything that wasn't versatile, and takeout. Looking back at this list, I feel like for the most part, we did a great job, but there were a few exceptions. With fun drinks, I know that one sounds kind of funny, but the idea with this one was that we'd started buying a lot of sodas and seltzers just to have in our fridge for when we had company over, but Christopher and I had started just having them pretty much every single day. So last year, I really wanted to commit not to making that a habit and just to save those fun drinks for special occasions. With this one, I'd say overall, I saw a big improvement, but there were definitely some peaks and valleys. We'd go through a couple month stretch at a time where we really didn't make it a habit at all and would save it only for special events or if we had friends over for dinner. But there were probably a handful of times too where for a week or so we would just catch ourselves getting in the habit of drinking them more often again. Each time we did a good job of reeling it back in, but it wasn't something that we were perfectly consistent with throughout the year. Overall, I'd say for sure we got better at it, but at times it was kind of a 2 steps forward, 1 step backward situation. But glad that we made progress, and it's definitely something that I'd like to continue to keep top of mind going forward. Then with new home decor, I feel like I did a really good job with this. I thrifted the majority of our home decor up until I think it was when we redid our entryway. There were a handful of new things that we bought for that because previously, I mean, you saw the before, there really was nothing in that space. So we were basically starting from scratch in there, and I did thrift some of the things, but also we bought some new stuff as well. Honestly, I feel like I'm okay with that. I did look secondhand for a lot of things, and anything I could buy secondhand, we did. But it is hard when you're doing a new space basically from scratch. Sometimes it is helpful to incorporate some newer items. So I don't know, I'm not going to beat myself up over that one, but figured I'd mention it. And with hosting supplies, we did add a couple of things, but I also decluttered a few things too. So I think we kind of broke even there. And then with new kids clothing, I bought a few new things. I think especially pajamas, I had a much harder time finding secondhand, but I was actually pretty impressed. I think I was able to thrift about 80% of his closet last year, which I was super excited about. And I think that's probably a ratio that I'd like to try to stick to moving forward. So those were a few kind of like asterisk ones, but there were a few that I did really well with that I wanted to highlight. Those were books, candles, plants, and takeout. Takeout especially, we did a lot of takeout. I guess it would have been in 2024, the year Oliver was born. We really got into a habit of doing a lot of takeout, and we probably only did it like a couple of times this entire year. So that one especially was a huge improvement and a big money saver for us as well. But yeah, overall, I feel like 2025 was a great year, and having these goals really helped me to be more intentional about my purchases. So I'm excited to see what 2026 has in store. All right, but now you've heard my no-buy goals for the upcoming year and how I did on this past year's goals as well. But now I'd love to hear from you. Did you set any no-buy goals for yourself in 2025? How did you do? What were some of the lessons that you learned? And are there any no-buy goals that you want to set for yourself for 2026? What are the things you don't want to buy in this upcoming year? Be sure to let me know. I would love to hear from you. We can cheer each other on, celebrate victories, or commiserate with each other, whatever the case, in the comments below. So yeah, let's chat there. But thank you, friends, so much for watching, for being here. I will see you all again very soon. Bye, friends.